bodybuilding for athletes. So, for whatever reason, this is becoming really popular, at least on the pages that I follow on Instagram and stuff like that. Everyone's talking about it. Bodybuilding for athletes, bodybuilding for athletes. Athletes should be doing more bodybuilding. Um, it seems like it's a new fad. It seems like it's a new trend. The thing is like it's always been that way. I don't know why people are acting like this is new and it's a novel concept. Um, I'm not even opposed to the marketing behind it or anything. Like, actually, I think people like Marcus Philly doing the functional bodybuilding is really cool. I'm all for that. But people acting like they're inventing something new. Oh, bodybuilding for athletes. This is new. No, it's not. There's nothing new about this. Now, I'm old, so you'll have to forgive me, but the way that I look at things is everything's about power building, which I realize is basically still bodybuilding. So you're going to pick big movements, squats, presses, deadlifts, etc., and you're going to do them for higher rep ranges. So you're not a power lifter. You're not trying to set a one rep max. You're not trying to set a world record. You're building strength because you're trying to get stronger for your sport. No one stops and asks you in the middle of a hockey game, hey man, what's your max squat? Nope. But if you run them over, that's good for your sport. If you plow right through with someone and you're bigger and stronger than them, this is a good thing. So as far as I can tell, power building, which is kind of like a form of bodybuilding. Certainly we have many successful bodybuilders who did a power building type style of training. That's always been part of sport. Is there some max strength? Of course there is. That's a part of it too. I mean, look at periodization. Look at your GPP. Look at things like that. Like these are all part of sport. You look at a really good program, right? You have this really planned out well. You have a time where you're doing GPP, you're building up an aerobic base, all these things like that. Then you might go into a hypertrophy phase, so you're doing squats, but you're doing sets of, 10 and 12. And then you break it down where you're starting to do a little more strength bias. So now you're doing like sets of, 5 to 8. And then you break it down further, and now you're doing sets of like 3 to 5. And then as you get closer and closer to the beginning of the season, now you're doing sets of 1 to 3. And you're maximizing your strength, and you're doing your sprints, right? You're not building an aerobic base anymore. That was at the beginning of everything. That was at the beginning of off season that you built that aerobic base. Now you're doing max speed work, okay? Well, then you're also doing max strength work, because no one plays at 60% of their max. You don't go into a hockey game and say, I think I'm just going to play at 75%. Because if you play at 75%, you're going to get destroyed. No one lines up on the line of scrimmage and says, I'm going to hit this guy across from me with like 50% effort. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. You go 50% and he's going to go 100, and we'll see which one of you ends up on your ass. But athletes have always done bodybuilding type movements. Like, this isn't new. I mean, you don't even have to ask. If I give guys a program of, power cleans and squats, I can guarantee they're still going to go over and do curls afterwards. Like, they do it every time. So like, I don't even bother programming it, because I know when you're working with young men, like, they're going to go do their bench press, they're going to go do their bicep curls, because that's what they do. You don't even have to ask them to do it. They do it. You got to push guys if you want them to train their legs. No one wants to squat. No one wants to squat unless you're like me. If you're deranged and you have a few screws loose, you're like, I'm going to go squat. But that's because I recognize that I'm smaller than everyone else. So I have to have stronger legs if I want to be able to go up against guys who are, a solid 75 pounds heavier than I am. Sometimes 100 pounds heavier than I am. I have to be stronger than them if I want to have any chance at all of not getting destroyed. But for the majority of guys, like, they're still doing their bodybuilding type stuff anyways. I mean, just watch them in the gym. You guys, we're doing overhead presses today, and you can guarantee at some point someone's going to pick up some dumbbells and start doing curls and skull crushers, even if you don't tell your athletes to do it. And they'll do it on their own too. How many times did I go to like the Peterson, and that's at Pitt. That's the Pete. And there's a gym there for the students, right? And you'll see these guys, and they're up there doing their bicep curls and skull crushers and shit. And it's like, dude, you just trained in the training room doing power cleans for like a fucking hour. Now you're up here doing bicep curls, but they gotta get them in, right? So in any case, the point being, people are acting like this whole bodybuilding for athletes is a new thing. It isn't. Look at the Chinese weightlifters. The Chinese weightlifters all include bodybuilding type movements. Like, look at Westside. They're doing tricep pull downs and, leg extensions and seated hamstring curls. Oh, aren't those yes, they are bodybuilding movements. So, in any case, I'm not opposed to this. I'm not opposed to this at all. I think it's great. I think it's like they should be doing this. Like, that's how you should be training anyways. The only thing I'm speaking on is the fact that people are acting like it's new. And it's like, nope, there's nothing new about it. It's kind of like whenever I hear people tell me that the ketogenic diet is just a fad. It's this new fad. And it's like, it started in like 400 BC. Like there's like recorded use of this diet. And in fact, actually, like medically in the United States, it was being used in like the early 1900s. So what's a fad? 2,400 years is a fad? I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just telling you that things that stick around for over 2,000 years aren't exactly a fad. And the same thing goes for, strength and conditioning is its infancy. I mean, it's not like athletes have been lifting weights for, a long, long time with, very structured strength and conditioning programs or something. The idea of being a strength and conditioning coach didn't even exist 100 years ago. They didn't have strength and conditioning coaches. So, that's in its infancy anyways. But the bottom line is that this whole concept of bodybuilding for athletes, this is not a new thing. This is how you should have been training all along. Any intelligent program has some components in it that are going to look like bodybuilding training. And in fact, actually, I would argue that most good programs more like power building. That's how a good program looks. So, that's my 2 cents on the matter. And if you're interested in programming and things like that, I would tell you, look at power building programs. Like that is a very good way for you to gain quality mass that's actually like, quote, functional. I hate that word, but I'm just going to go ahead and use it because everyone keeps using it. You don't want to have just big bulky muscles. You want to actually have strength because you're going to go on the field and play against somebody. Well, it helps to be stronger than your opponent. So, focusing on things that make you stronger is a good way to get stronger. Radical concept, I know. And so, I would tell people, like, look at a power building program and then, include some bodybuilding type movements like curls, tricep extensions, leg extensions, hamstring curls, etc. to fill in the gaps. And that really is about all I have to say on it, because it really is that simple. Like, this stuff is not that overly complicated. I don't know why people try to overcomplicate it all the time, because it isn't. So, if you guys like the video, like the video. If you have an opinion on this, go ahead and comment below. If you have a particular power building program that you like, go ahead and comment below, share it. It'll help someone else. I always tell people, comment, even if you don't care whether or not I read your comment, or you don't have a question for me or something, sometimes just share your experience, because it'll help someone else. So, I mean, I tell people this all the time. There's so much I gain from reading the comments on other people's videos. I read the comments on an Andrew Huberman video, and half the time I come across something in the comments section, and I'm like, wow, that was more useful than the entire 3-hour video. So, if you have something useful to share, please share it. And if you guys like this kind of content, be sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for your time.